Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is the Commando Cast, a video cast about all things Star Wars Destiny. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando. Hello everyone, welcome to Dice Commando and the Commando Cast. I'm Andrew, here today with Mr. KyloSpren. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you, Andrew?
Good. Hey, so what are we doing today? What are we talking about?
We're talking about Destiny Smash today, I think. And, I mean, maybe there's surprise topics, but that's what I came prepared for.
All right, so Destiny Smash and maybe some surprise topics.
I have been playing a bit of Smash, and I've been convincing other people to play a bit of Smash, and so far it's been only awesome. And everybody that's tried it has reported that they think it's awesome, and then the people that they're convincing to play it, I hear, think that it's awesome. So far I think that it's at least 2 or 3 times removed, confirmed as awesome.
So, just to remind everybody out there who may, hopefully you know what it is at this point, because we've been pumping it pretty hard on the channel for the last, week and a half at this point. But Destiny Smash is kind of our in-house created limited format. Basically, it involves it's all self-contained. You take 2 decks, you smash them together, you play Destiny, and then you have a beer and go home, right?
Yep.
Pick up and play, quick and simple. It's as complicated as you want it. So the reason Wyatt's here today is he reached out to me on Discord earlier this week and basically asked me what my plans for the future were with the format. So I wanted to and he wanted to talk in person, and I figured what better way to talk in person than to record it for everyone to judge us. So,
Absolutely.
let's have the conversation. So, what was it you specifically wanted to know?
Well, shoot. So this is me approaching, as just me, KyloSpren, Wyatt, but also me as somebody who's been working with Renewed Hope, thinking about organized play and how do you get localized, groups of people wanting to play Destiny again, and how do you make Destiny attractive to new players or players that maybe used to play, but the deck building and competitive wasn't the most fun thing for them. Just the playing Destiny and taking characters and shooting each other was what was fun. So I've been thinking just a lot about that in the past few weeks, and when you dropped Smash in my lap and said, hey, try this out, it was like a breath of fresh air. And the more I've thought about it, the more I think this is one of the best limited formats maybe the game has ever seen, and certainly I think the game has at this stage in its life cycle. And so as I was thinking about how much I liked it, I wanted to know what you saw as the future of it, and just kind of where it could go from here, because I think it's such a good way to play the game and a good way to get people who are on the fence or have been away for a while or just want to try the game to play the game.
Yeah, I think that's all fair. The goal was pick up and play, because as you know, I try to look from a casual standpoint years down the line as to how we're going to be doing this.
Absolutely.
And I also wanted to keep the format, at least as it stands today. It was important to me to keep the format infinite and FFG only. That was because that way it's more accessible to anyone, and we have a lot of people right now. So for example, Gunray, they recently sold out of all of their Destiny product. They were looking at how they were going to get rid of the boxes. They dropped them on sale, and they went quick, right? There's a lot of people out there who were not willing to pay $80 for a box of Destiny,
Absolutely.
but they'll eat all they can at $10 to $15 a box.
Man, I wish Gunga had told me they were going to drop them on sale. I would have grabbed some of those. Shoot.
Yeah, well, they ended up making kind of a bulk deal with one family, and now that family
Totally.
probably has more stuff. But and that's great, and well, I didn't help keep the game alive, right? So
Right.
Whatever. But there's a lot of bargain basement people out there who are picking it up, and
Absolutely.
it wouldn't have helped keep the game alive, because even if they were picking stuff up at $15 a box, they're highly unlikely to buy future boxes at $90.
Yep.
But we do have an
Luckily, we
influx
don't
of
have to care
people,
about-
so if
we
we
don't
can
have to care
convert
about
them
the
into
game.
ARH, because ARH is free,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. We don't have to care about the game staying alive from a selling boxes perspective, which is nice. So now we're just talking about, how do we make the game fun and how do you have somebody pick it up and have a good time. And so a couple of things, I mean, I know you've talked about this, but I'm going to talk about this because I'm here and I like it. A couple of things that have really stood out to me about this format. I do love that it's infinite friendly. I also like that should you have a personal collection, it's all singleton. And so you only need one copy of every card going into a deck. Each deck so far has felt um, not too strong, not too weak. There's some caveats there. I have a couple asterisks. I think there's been one standout and one maybe stand down. But on the whole, I've really liked that each deck I picked up feels good. It feels good around the character I'm playing it with. It feels good in the pairing. And I think that this format could easily translate into a lot more characters joining the lineup. So,
Yep. So that's you brought up a lot of really interesting points. I want to hit on a couple answers and then kind of answer your question. So the first thing you said is that some characters are better than others, and that's obvious. The real problem, quote unquote, is that a lot of people are, and this is not a problem, right? Because people can play
yeah.
however they want. But a lot of people right now are using Smash not as a choose random. They're using the decks and they're pairing them together, which is really, it's kind of bad because it's not how it was intended, right? There's some really
Sure.
bad combos out there, right? Not bad. There's some really powerful combos out there. Like Leia Cassian is really freaking strong.
Yep.
R2P2 is really freaking
Really
strong.
strong. Yep.
And the idea of Smash was, very much emulating the Magic Jumpstart, where there's actually rarity to their packs, and I did think about doing that, but functionally from just an ease standpoint, I didn't put. At one point I was like, oh, we'll just put 3 Cassians in there if Cassian was the common or something. But then of course you could draw 2 Cassians, and then what do you do? And
Oh,
right.
totally.
So, but that was basically the thing is, what, you could just have a lucky day and come in and draw RP2 and win your tournament. And I don't think that's functionally any different than the way that Destiny Limited worked, quite frankly.
Yeah, no, I think it's very, very similar. When you sit down and play draft, and here's the other thing. I love draft because I loved getting new cards. Like the collector and me wanted new packs. But a lot of people in my local community didn't love draft because they didn't have the budget or the desire for new cards at the same appetite I did. And so what I like about this format is I still love fundamentally from the first time I ever played Destiny, it was two middle decks punching each other in the face, and that's when I fell in love with the game. And that is all this format is so far, and that's fantastic. I like that there's always somebody's going to come with their gear and somebody else is going to come with their gear, and I'm going to fight 2 other characters with their own gear, and it feels great. So that part of it for me is just aces. It's like primo, and when I've had other people play it in the last couple of weeks with me, and I've heard about them playing it with their friends, the thing I keep hearing is like that it's making Destiny fun again. It's just classic. This is what we wanted when we sat down to play the game.
Yeah, well, and to the middle thing, right? I mean that was not an accident here. I mean, yes, it works better from a Smash standpoint in terms of mixing them together. Mathematically, it works better. But
Yeah, you don't really want to end up with accidentally like a 40-point team versus a sub 30.
right, I mean, and it works better. And when we did this out, of course, just like everything else in the world, when there's fan cards and designs and stuff like that, everybody's got an opinion and an idea, which is great. But functionally going into this, I didn't just want it to work out mathematically. I also wanted it to be middle because that's real Destiny.
Yep.
So on the next phase, I am working on a phase 2, right? So the set that's out right now is a phase 1. I am working on a phase 2. In phase 2, one of the decks I'm testing is a 2 First Order Stormtrooper deck.
Oh,
So
fun. I was hoping for some of that.
I'm testing it. I don't know that it's going to work. And we will also see a deck with a plot, and it will be the only one that has a plot, because otherwise, right? And I'm going to try it. It may not make it into final form, but it's Hera and the Ghost, right? So Hera with AR for the Ghost.
Oh, sure. Hair with the ghost makes sense. I've also thought that a Kashyyyk warrior elite with Wookiee
Oh,
village
with Wookiee Tribe.
yeah, could be like a reasonable point allocation for something like this. Um, there's a couple others that come to mind. Oh, I thought that Chief Chirpa with an Ewok and a free Ewok, that's 14 points. That was unreasonable to potentially have as well.
Oh, so it'd be Chirpa and 2 Ewoks.
Yeah, functionally, Chirpa and 2 Ewoks for 14 points. I thought that could be a fair way to do that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, yeah, it's like there's a million ways we could go here with this, right? But I want to be very careful about it, and that's why I also am using only printed point values. Once we
Yep.
start getting right, so like one of the ones that was floated out there was some guy like I don't remember who he was, and he was super excited and he like wrote us a really nice note, listed a whole bunch of characters he wanted in there, and like some of them were characters that I specifically didn't want in because they were going to be too strong. For example,
Sure.
Zeb Aurelios. Zeb in this format, being
Oh,
able to
with
use his
trash.
damages both sides is crazy
Wicked trash.
broken.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Zeb point adjusted would be far too strong.
right. So yeah, exactly. So there's stuff like that where
So
go ahead.
some interesting feedback I've gotten that I wanted to ask you about. Um, as well as I tried this with a couple different formats for either doing random. We did a lot of playing, just draw two random, and we tried a lot of other variants on draws and bans that I thought were interesting that I wanted to run past you. So first thing I heard good feedback from people playing is that so far, Leia underperforms if you can't get Cassian. Obviously, Leia Cassian's insane, but Leia by herself is having a hard time and feels problematic. Has that been an experience for you, or do you think she's fine?
Yeah. So Leia was really. I will say. I mean, again, there's room for improvement on all these decks. We can always just go
Oh,
change
totally.
the card. Leia was the one that we were worried the most about collectively in playtesting, because Mill is really strong in an inefficient format. And if you look at a lot of the cards in Leia's deck, like a Commando raid can just drop your hand.
Yep, just
Right.
GP, it's over.
And so I agree. And I'm glad. So I agree. I think Leia's not performing to where we thought she would, and I'm okay with that.
Yep, no, that makes total sense to me. The one that I've heard is kind of above curve from the folks I've been playing with is Afra, which was interesting to me because I assumed Afra in this format, her innate abilities wouldn't be too strong and she's only got the 10 health. But it sounds like just the amount of dice cards she has, because almost any limited format, if you can get dice cards on the table, it's the eventual momentum that can win you the game. And she's getting dice cards on the table at a discount. And so, from what I've heard from folks I've talked to, is that Afra has been winning more when they've played than just about anybody else.
Yeah, I think the difference there is Afra doesn't care who she's paired with because the other guy just becomes a meat sack, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And
I had a great game
Afra
with
does
Afra
not have
Lee.
more. She does not have more dice cards than the other decks do. It's just that her dice cards stay in play,
Oh, that makes sense.
right?
Yeah, because they're all support based as opposed to upgrades. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
story helped me develop that, and I actually made him pull back because I looked at the number of dice cards he had out there, and I was like, oh, it's just too many.
Cool, that's good
And
to hear.
Afra, to be honest, from an insight standpoint, I'm not a huge Afra fan, but it was important to me that when we come out with this, we represent all the different aspects of Destiny, and I can't think of
Absolutely.
Destiny without Afra in it.
Yep, Afra made
So
sense to me, just like Leia made sense. Like, again, it's such a hard balance where she can be over or underperforming, but I'm glad that she's in the Smash list. Like, I would have been bummed if there was no version of Bill and no Leia in this lineup.
yeah, well, I mean, hey, if we get a 15-point Leia one day, maybe she becomes the new Leia, right? But
Man, that'd be wild.
yeah, 15-point
Uh,
Leia would be awesome.
yeah, no kidding. Um, one thing I have had in this format, so it's funny. So far, I have drafted naturally R2P2 like 4 times. And so that led us to start playing around with some other rules. And so we tried draft 3, pick 2. That was too strong. It took the math of just getting 2 random ones. With 3 random ones, you always had a better pairing. Then we tried draft 4, ban 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that felt a little bit better. And one thing I've heard from some folks that have been playing more in the last week than I've had time to is that they've been playing, and this is interesting, draft 5, ban 2. And they've really liked that. They found that that feels really good for giving the other player options, but also eliminating some of their strongest
So
pairings.
they must draft independently then, because there's not enough cards in the right now. We only have 18 heroes, so
I think that's just in 1v1 games. So I think they're taking the deck of 18 options, and they're both getting 5, and then denying each other 2 choices, and then from those 3 remaining, choosing their team of 2.
yeah, and I think that'll work better as we get more choices. I plan on having roughly 18 to 20 characters in phase 2.
Added, you mean?
Well, you can combine them. If you like, the idea was that phase 1 and phase 2 could be played independently, or you could smash them all together to do
Oh, cool. Okay.
right. And then phase 3, if we get there, in
Yep.
phase 3, I am going to do, or I'm planning on doing a couple fan-made cards where I take, like Ahsoka, for example. I'd really like to have a playable Ahsoka in this game. I want to take the ATG Ahsoka use her dice, right? So we're using recycled dice. We're going to use her card or whatever, and we're just going to change her text.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And we'll see how it goes. And if in testing it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Totally.
But, hopefully that's a year down the line, right? I mean, I don't want to come out and, excuse the term, blow our wad, between now and Christmas,
Sure.
and then everybody forgets about it, right? So, because we've got a long time to play Destiny, so,
Yep.
letting
No,
people have fun with this in the meantime is not a bad thing.
I agree with that. Have you thought about incorporating ARH cards, or are you looking to avoid it, or what are your thoughts there?
I think that needs to come way farther down the line. I want to get
Okay.
the reuse. So, give me a sec to figure out how to say this politely.
Totally.
There's a lot of people who have still thrown themselves down on the supermarket floor and are crying like a toddler about not reusing dice. So I'm trying to give a bridge, of using only infinite cards, only using
Yep.
printed cards. So I'm trying to get, and maybe I'm trying to do too much, which is completely fair, but I'm trying to get new players in on just printed cards because I saw people on Facebook just today asking questions about how stuff was different in the DB than printed on the cards, right? We have people joining
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Destiny
We have
on a
folks joining the
day-to-day
community that
basis who
don't
don't
understand.
know how to use Google and find things, right?
Well,
And
I
that's
don't think it's
fine.
fair to say they don't know how to use Google. I mean, we're a niche knowledge base now, right? If you've been along for the 2 or 3 years of Destiny and you know the RRGs and the errata, like you have a level of expertise that your average player. It wouldn't be easy to just Google the answer to that question anymore. There's no
So
company supporting
I
this,
I
right?
agree, and I agree and I hear you, but I also disagree because I know that if I was getting into a brand new game, that I wouldn't join the Facebook group and ask the question before I actually Googled the rules,
Sure. And
right?
that's fair, but would they have found it is the first question I'd have. And the second question is some people just want to do it socially, right? I mean, like if I was joining a new local game community, I would ask the people in my local group before I'd ever go googling because I'd assume or hope that they knew. But we don't have local groups with COVID, so there's something to be said for I get why people are just showing up asking these questions, and I'm thrilled that new people are still showing up. I
Yeah,
know that
and
sounds
and that's fair. And we're
yeah.
getting off topic, and I'm looking like a jerk anyway, right? So,
No, I'm not trying to say that you're
um,
being a jerk by any means.
but no, I mean I know I am right. It's because it's like the RTFC argument, right?
Sure, 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 sure.
So the second one was I was trying to new people with having everything be printed, and then two having it be infinite based, so that all the people who are very anti-rotation are still interested. And then there's the parallel dice crew who want new cards, but they don't want to make new dice. So I was hoping to get them involved in phase 3, and then maybe we do ARH. And the cool thing about doing this, at least in theory in modules, is that you can choose to use not like you'd be like, all right, well I want to use module 1, 2, and 3, but not 4 because screw the ARH guys or whatever the argument may be.
Sure, yeah, we don't want the custom stuff. We just want the FFG. No, that makes total sense to me. And again, I really can't sing the praises of this project enough from a perspective of it's infinite friendly. Everything feels good without anything feeling way too strong. It's friendly to everyone that has this stuff. And like, if someone were to see this and say, "Oh, I want to build this at home," I think it would not be hard to build the vast majority of these decks out of a pretty big library or close enough to them that it's the same concept for you to play locally, right? Like
Yeah,
nothing about this is canonized. It's just a really good format, and I think you've done a good job of curating both yourself and from your team people to create these lists.
yeah. I mean, I think you nailed it, right? Like, it's not going to break the deck if you don't have an ancient lightsaber,
Right.
right? On the other hand, I do want to. I can't. I do want to caution people out there, right, who may be thinking about doing this on. And first off, you can do whatever you want. Like, go have fun with it. But I do want to caution people that there was a lot of thought and testing that went into the specific card select. Like, we didn't just blow everything thematic because it had Kylo's picture on it, right? Like, that's not what we
Yep.
did. There was a lot of thought and testing that went into the specific card selections. So, if you decide that it doesn't have enough dice and it's not enough aggro, and you go add 1 or 2 more dice to each deck, that's fine. That's how you want to play it at home. But you have to understand that it's going to change the interactions.
How would you feel at some point about potentially putting forth the rough guidelines you were going for, right? Like you wanted between X amount and X amount of dice cards, you wanted X amount of events, you wanted, a good percent of the deck thematic and a good percent could be strong.
Sure.
Like,
Well, we didn't.
you ever codify those parameters?
I mean, it's not like they're written down, but as a basic rule, think about it this way, right? If you were playing draft, how many dice cards would you on average end up with?
Yeah, outside of your characters, you'd probably get...
Including the draft kit, you're generally at 9 dice.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Right, because you're getting 6 dice, generally one of which is not useful.
That tracks.
So you're usually at 9 or 10 dice, depending on if you can make rainbow or not. So that was kind of the idea, including the character dice, right? So, and that's overall. So each one of these has, depending on the deck and the resource curve of that deck, we have roughly 4 to 5 additional dice in each deck, and most of them are 4. Some of them are 5, depending on the resource curve. Like Afra, for example, right? She has 1 more. So that was the guideline there, and then we also went out of our way to try and include at least 1 support in each deck, and that doesn't mean it's a dice support,
Sure.
but it could have been like cover fire, or one of the favorite ones I have in there is armored support. Like, I love that card, right? So that's in there. So, and then other than that, we did have a discussion pre-release about, because a lot of the games were going to, I mean, you probably recall this, a lot of the games were going to mill condition or close to it. So we had a discussion about...
That's been my experience, but yeah, I wasn't there for the early...
Well, but early on it was. And then there was a discussion about backing off of having 1 less removal. But we couldn't do that as a hard and fast rule because of the way that the decks work, so we actually ended up not changing much.
So one thing I've loved about this, is talking about that, especially with the removal piece, I've loved that almost every deck I've played does have an example of blowout removal in it. Something from the Annals of Destiny or Legal Destiny now that's just insane. Like, $1 gets paid and 3 of my dice go away. And that's a feel bad in a deck that's constructed for it. But when you both have those tools in your toolbox, it's like limited with higher stakes. Occasionally one of us is going to get a really big removal or a really big punch through, and that would never be true in limited, where we were drafting from like 1 block. But in this set, where we have kind of the infinite available to us, everybody knows that they get a punch. But it's also really satisfying to know that that's typically the only punch like that they have.
Yep, and it's interesting you picked up on that, because that was one of my intended... I mean, there's a couple decks out there, like Afra, for example, that doesn't have one. But most decks either have a Beguile, or a Beckett has a reversal, for example, because he can afford it, right? Yep. And I mean, reversal in limited format is a game-winning card if it pulls off, right?
And Pongfell, I think it was him that had...
he has his card, whatever it is.
No. Wasn't it guard? Isn't it that... He's got overconfidence, which is great to have back in anything.
Well, a lot of the blues have overconfidence.
Yeah, but what's the remove melee to remove that many dice?
Oh, guard, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Pong having guard, I was so glad when I drew that card. I was like, oh boy, I can't believe this is back. Come on, Pong, roll your 2 and give me a double removal.
Yeah, and Pong's funny, because for thematic, actually, I don't remember if Quad Slam made it in there or not. For thematic, that was kind of bouncing in and out.
It looks like it did, and I've got them all in front of me.
Because it ended up not being that good in a format that was limited to 2 wide, right?
Yep.
So I think we pulled that, yeah. But, I mean, so that's what we were trying to do, was kind of each character also have kind of a thematic big card. Like Padme is going to be in set 2. She has aggressive negotiations in there because, of course, she does. Right.
Nice. Awesome.
Right.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah. Because, we want these to be fun and Star Warsy too, right? So.
If you're bringing Padme in, doesn't she cap at 12 points by herself?
She's 14. She's 11, 14.
Okay. That's completely reasonable then. That's so fun. Okay. So, Padme's in... Will you talk any more about set 2? Padme and who else?
Well, sure. I mean, I can give me a sec. I can get the relatively good list. While I'm pulling that up, one character that I think is underperforming, where we thought he was, is Tarful. I thought Tarful was actually going to be really strong with that 2 focus. He doesn't seem to be doing as well as I thought. All right, so in Phase 2, at least on the drawing board, that doesn't mean that's what's going to be here. We have both. We have Rey Best Friend Forever and Kylo Best Friend Forever. That's
that Kylo Best Friend Forever list. How inspired was that by the one I saw?
Very, very similar. You were a little over thematic, so I kind of cut back on some of that stuff.
Completely reasonable.
And to be clear, for those, we're talking about Bound by the Force. That's the Best Friends Forever, BBTF, BBFF. You get it anyway. So we have Padme. We have Kylo, Rey. We have Padme. I do have Ayla. She does not have a plot. She's good enough.
At 13? Oh yeah, unlimited, absolutely.
Yep.
It was 13,
no, she's
right?
12. Yeah, she's still good enough. It's fine. We do have Yoda. We have Legacies Yoda in there.
Nice.
I've had to, I don't know, he may or may not make it. He's really good, but we can keep him in check by what we give him. So giving him a force wave in a middle format is actually very interesting.
Oh, that's super fun. Yep.
Right.
Okay.
I'm trying the 2 Force Order Stormtroopers. We're trying that.
Yep.
We are trying Hera with the Ghost, like I mentioned. Who else? We have Boba Fett is in there.
Cool.
We have Rex.
Cool. Newer stuff.
K2SO.
I was about to ask if K2SO was in this list.
Yep. So K2SO was actually in Phase 1, and I dropped him before I sent that off to testing. And then Val, who was also in Phase 1, and I dropped off to testing.
What about Arinda?
Price, I actually didn't flag her, and I don't remember why. Maybe just because she was 13 and she didn't pop up in an original search or something. She could be interesting with some battlefield control cards, because there's some pretty good battlefield control cards in Infinite now, right?
Totally.
Although she's not a trooper, so.
No, she's a leader, but I mean, there's leader cards, right? You could easily give her like a face the enemy and something else, and give her a threat.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean those are, and again those, Phase 2 will come out whenever it comes out. Since we're all going into COVID lockdown, maybe it'll come out in March again, and we can call it a year anniversary or something. But no, we'll see. But it also depends on how well received it is. I mean, I think the reception of Smash was pretty good, but obviously I'm biased.
I am too, but let me just, from the depths of my heart to your ears, please put out a Phase 2. Everyone I've talked to is like, this is awesome. We'd love to see a little bit bigger card pool just for more variety, but this is amazing. So
yeah, but yeah, I mean, you need to remember that. I mean, not you. One, the community, the watcher needs to remember that we're not just making lists and kicking them out.
Right.
So there is testing involved. And we're moving. I mean, honestly, we're moving slower than like ARH was, because we just are. I mean, there's no urgency to it. So, and we're also like the Smash release, for example, was delayed. We delayed the Smash release by several weeks because we didn't want to conflict with ARH, and we know we have ARH coming out in January, right? So using that same logic, you can probably do the math, figuring out when Smash is going to be released. Probably February-ish, right?
Yep.
So. Somewhere along those lines. And then, after that, we do start getting kind of into the weeds, quote unquote, on characters after that, in terms of printed 14, 15s, and 13s. And we'll see, again, with Phase 2, we start dipping into the 13s, which we haven't done yet. So we'll see how that goes. But again, once, some of the later set power curves, as you can imagine, were certainly in that line. So there they were. Totally makes sense. They were higher power. So anyway, I think we put that in the ground. But yeah, that's what we're looking for. So in terms of your alternate format stuff, it's funny. Mike today was talking to me about, and maybe you and him were talking. Maybe that's why he was talking. But he was doing something. He was, what did he call it? I don't remember what kind of format he called it. But basically, it was a, draw 3, eliminate 1 type of format.
That's true. We never actually tried a draw 3, eliminate 1. We should probably do that. That's interesting. I do worry if it. Yeah, I should try that. I should definitely try that.
I mean, I actually think the 3 eliminate 1 is probably the easiest to do, because it lets you not have the RTP2.
Yep.
And to be honest, maybe we come back. Maybe before we release Phase 2, we come back and we do a Phase 1 re-release. Poe is strong. Poe, I think, is too strong individually.
He's been really good.
Yeah, I think we went over thematic on Poe, because BB-8, Poe, BB-8, and Black One on the table will win a game.
Lose. Yeah, it's very good.
Right. So I don't know. It feels bad not having BB-8 in a deck with Poe, but maybe we go the crappy BB-8 from.
I managed to get BB-8, or not BB-8, but Poe and Iden, and that deck shreked. It was so good. Having all in with that many dice, I think a Mega hit the table. It was so fun.
Yeah, all in. It's been really fun to see a lot of these old cards come back in a non-broken format, right?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
Infinite, as you know, Infinite is really bad. Like, it's really bad.
Yeah, when you can construct an infinite, the fun goes out really quick because somebody will bring something that's just so filthy and so NPE that it's not really worth the experience. And that's one of the reasons I've liked this. This is the first time I think I've enjoyed Infinite because it has all the magic of the good interactions, but nothing is just over the top great. I did run into, okay, what are a couple of ones I played so far? Somebody managed to get Chewy Cassian against me, and that sucked because that was two copies of Easy Pickings, and I
Yep.
couldn't stop it.
Yep.
That was really scary. I managed to get Hondo Beckett, and that Shrek'd. It was so fun. There's been lots of R2P2s. I have yet to draft old or young Luke, and I've yet to draft Dooku. So I've only drafted so far Pong, Krell, and Ray. And I've drafted them a lot when I've played this. And Pong is so fun in this format. When there's a 50% chance that you will get a hero as his partner, or that your opponent's going to have heroes, it's so good. Just Pong is always turned on. He goes from like a pretty B tier character to a really fun character in this format.
Yep. He was one of the ones that I was insistent we bring in because he was always one of those characters that looked really cool but just never worked.
Yep.
Um,
And that's something I've liked so much about this is there are so many people so far that I've played in here that like I don't know, I'd say half-ish of these characters I've seen on the table a lot. Um, maybe more than half, but plenty of them have never been at like top table characters, and it's really fun to see them find a home here. So I'm hoping that there are more, 13 to 15 point, maybe even a couple 16-point characters that are unimpressive. Like I'd love to see Fifth Brother in this lineup. Um, that could potentially, join in just because they never necessarily had a home before, and this could give them one.
yeah. Well, I mean, it may be something in the future. Like with Fifth Brother, I think probably I'm really wary, even at the bad characters like that one who shouldn't have
Yeah.
been 16 probably to begin with. Even with him, I'm really weary of putting
You
them
don't
in and
want
having
to
someone
any
have the
because if you
31
end up
point
with a
discussion.
34 point,
I just
yeah,
don't want to do it.
yeah,
Um, so anyway, that's where we are. It doesn't mean we can't change things in the future, and maybe we just in phase 3 do a reprint of Fifth Brother and we don't change anything. That's possible too,
Listen,
right?
as somebody that loved Fifth Brother and played him a ton when I first got this game, Fifth Brother Snoke was my first like thematic slash not terrible deck, and it was still pretty bad. I don't think Fifth Brother's ever been broken if you played him in a 15-point format.
Yeah, that's you just mentioned one guy that will never, just on
Snoke,
principle, make it
yeah,
in.
Snoke can literally never join the format, not
Yeah,
even once.
yeah,
Well, that's what you get for being a Palpatine clone, I guess, or whatever the hell that movie tried to say. I don't know.
yeah. So anyway, that's what I know about Smash.
Cool.
What other questions did you have, or what else did you want to
Let's
talk
see.
about?
So that was a big part of it. Was where do you want to go from here? What's the timeline? You've given me that, and that's exciting. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Well, it's
Uh,
the proposed timeline.
sure. But even just roughly, I didn't know your plans, so I'm glad to hear those. What else did I want to know? Let's see. Um, I noticed in this set that yellow got the most love, and I mean it's small, right? There's 7 yellows, 5 blues, and 6 reds. Um, but do you have hopes for kind of where you're going to push more of them, or is that just guided by who's realistically a
So
15-point
the
character?
primary reason yellow got more love was because of the neutrals.
Okay, that makes
Find
sense.
find me a neutral red character that's not Lobot, right?
Man, that's rough. Yeah,
There's not one, right? So
yeah, because Fenrir's a hero.
yeah.
Yep, interesting.
So that was really the reason. And to be honest, both the neutrals almost didn't make it in the set because I almost wanted to hold one of the neutrals back for phase 2, but I figured we'd
Was it
just do it.
was it Han or Hondo you wanted to hold
It
back?
was Hondo I was going to hold back.
Hondo is so fun to play again.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So the reason I ended up, and again, another funny story, the reason we ended up going forward with Hondo was because I think it was Mark was helping me with Hondo, and or whoever no, it wasn't originally, and then I think Mark was like, well, this needs Pirate Speeder Tank, and I was like, yes, this absolutely needs Pirate Speeder Tank, and it was
I,
sold,
I got that
right?
on the table, and it was a lot of fun. Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
No, that's
So
the other thing is just finding the ones that can really shine. I mean, shoot, even Watt Tambor could probably be playable in this because he comes from
I don't know.
small.
I'd be pretty wary of supports. I mean, I think that's what we're seeing from Afro is that the dice that stick around because we also balanced pretty carefully the ambush gun. We balanced very carefully the ambush guns, the redeploys. right? It'd have been very easy for a lot of these guys to stick in LL30 holdout blaster, X8 sniper,
Yeah.
but we
No,
didn't.
and I get that, but at the same time, I don't know. I feel like you could only give him like 4 or 5 dice toys. That's not probably too many.
Well, but it is once you combine the other guys' 4 or 5 dice toys.
It depends. Yeah, okay. So like, I'll say this: there's easily for him to blow out, but I think there's also a room for him to be good in there. But that could be fun. I don't know. Like I think about the Duchess, the Super Laser Siege Cannon. There's a lot of really fun red legendaries that have not necessarily ever been great. That would be fun to give a home in this format.
Yeah, sure. Well, but then remember the flip side though, that while we are playing errata, so we're not playing point, we're not playing balance, but we are playing errata. That doesn't mean that some new person who picks it up would know the reds.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's fair, but
then do you care? Yeah, that's
wonder
true.
in limited format if it almost even matters. Like,
yeah, then that's fair.
The things that scare an experienced player about Watt, I'm not sure need to scare this format because Watt does no damage on his own. So in this format, he will only be, a focusing and tool for whatever's in his kit.
Hey man, he's got an indirect side. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
What can do to indirect a turn? I'm so sorry. I should have thought of that.
So, no, it's his focus and his role. Anyway, yeah, I mean, we can play around with it in the future. But one, for the Phase 3, like I said, the one character I'm very excited to get on the table because she never saw love, and with her 11 point that sees a ton of love, will never see the light of day in this format, especially without a Jedi guaranteed partner, is Ahsoka, right? We need fun Ahsoka.
Yeah. Yep.
We'll figure out a way to get an Anakin in, probably using his 10-13 neutral. I don't know, maybe that's actually okay. Maybe he'll be the Phase 2 neutral, actually. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, because transformations, Anakin's too strong.
Oh, it's way too strong. No, and yeah. I mean, you know how I feel about that set anyway.
No, I know. I wouldn't let anyone touch this.
We'll just add him with Fateful and call it a day, right?
Perfect. Everything balanced as it should be. Oh my god. But yeah, no, I think the draft Anakin would be great. I could totally see that. Yeah, man. This is so fun. I'm looking forward to seeing when you have a rough list put together. I'm looking forward to throwing ideas at the wall too for some of the new ones because this has been it's been great. And also part of it, I mean, like, so like Luke's amazing, but I'd love to have more partners for him to dance with. That's just like I think a lot of these is so many of them are fun. And I'm looking forward to seeing the pool double in size. So
yeah,
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the characters are going to change very much. Well, I mean, may not be enough. I mean, it's still random in theory, right? But
yep.
Leia, I think we really still need to keep watch on Leia as the pool expands.
But that's the thing about the randomness, right? I mean, as the pool expands, your odds of finding that ideal partner or partners is, balanced out. So
well, but maybe not though, right? So, like, let's say right now, there's really only one good partner. There's one auto win partner for Leia, which is Cassian. Right?
Sure. If you get 1 or 2 mill cards a block, even if the ratio stays the same, it doesn't matter how many sets you combine. It should still be about the same. Likelihood.
Yeah, but think about it this way: the number of pairings goes up exponentially. So right now, Leia and Cassian have to be paired together to make a mill beast. But if we add Yoda, it can be Leia Yoda or Cassian Yoda. So
okay, that's fair. That's fair.
And if we add somebody else who's maybe somewhere in between, again, I'm not saying it's the end of the world, and you have to expand somehow, but we really have to be careful who we choose because you do start to get those, multiple synergy. I mean, remember, in Way of the Force meta, you could have brought Yoda Leia or Cassian Leia Mill and still taken a store champ, because I did. Right?
No, it's true. It's absolutely true.
So,
are you willing to let anybody get force speed in this format, or never?
Is force speed not? I think in an early version, I think I might have killed that. There are some cards that we... Like, I don't think Close Quarters Assault made it in.
Oh, sure. CQA would be... Yeah, that's a problem, isn't it?
Defensive position, I don't think is...
No, Close Quarters Assault did come in, again, for Pong Krell.
It made it in Pong? Okay.
I think it's fair.
Yeah. So okay, so fair enough. So and I was trying to adhere somewhat to my restricted list guidelines, because the other part of this is that this won't be able to hold anymore in phase 2, to be fair. But when we did phase 1, it's like most of us, right, who have a collection have 2 of every die.
Yep.
And I don't mean everybody has 2 of every die, but you don't generally have more than 2 of every die. Let me rephrase
Sure.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're building a library for a single person, it's got 2 of every die, and for 2 people, it's got 4.
Right. So what I tried to do, like, it would have been very easy to put Holdout Blaster in every deck, but we didn't do that because
somebody can make out of their own collection.
Right, and to be clear, it ended up not exactly adhering to that. Like, I think Holdout Blaster's in 3 of the decks or something like that, right? But the general idea was, like, we're not going to put Ancient in every blue deck because we didn't want somebody to have 4 Ancients to try and do this.
Yep.
Right, so, and to be fair, that it's not going to hold up once we expand in Phase 2. Sorry, it's just not. But that was kind of the idea too, right? So it's like not everything has holdout, not everything has ancient.
But it's also fair to try and keep that per phase, so that if you do want to build a phase out of a given collection, you still can.
Oh, I'm still going to try. I'm not just going to throw it because I mean, at some point, if you don't do that, also every deck starts to look the same.
Yep.
Like I'll be completely honest with you. My Ray 2 and my Ray Best Friends Forever decks, they're basically the same.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, except like you're using like
R2D2
I put polarity in there because like if you get Kylo and Rey randomly and you make it happen, or if you're doing a 3-in-1 and your opponent lets it happen, you get polarity. Like you do, you get 2 of them.
You get polarity because again, in a 50% format, the odds of them getting a hero are good, and that card's not a blowout in and of itself, but it's fun. Like I love this format; gives you a lot of feel-good moments.
Yeah, but both the Best Friends Forever have polarity in there because you might not always be playing mono faction.
Yep.
Right. So.
Yeah, no, that makes absolute sense. Man. Yeah, what was the one I was thinking about? Oh, R2. I'm hoping you give the R2D2 support to at least one of them.
R2's in something.
He's not. He's in Luke right now, baby Luke.
Oh, he's in Luke. Okay, I was gonna say if he's already in something, but okay.
But yeah, it'd be fun to give him to Rey and Dank.
He's not in Yoda. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, big NO. Way too problematic. That's fair. Well, shoot, dude. Yeah, I think that answers a lot of my questions. Again, I mostly just wanted to provide more energy behind. I think this is great and a lot of fun. That was the biggest thing I wanted to say, and just to go over some of them. And yeah, I haven't played a bad game yet. I will admit I had like a 5 or 6 win streak against somebody, but that person who was on a 6 streak loss still left going, "Oh my god, this is awesome," and proceeded to play a whole bunch with more people throughout the week. So it worked as intended.
Well, I mean, I appreciate the support and the energy more so than the support, right? I'm very excited about this project from a project manager standpoint, if you will. It's been really fun because the way this worked, I brought it to the DC team guys. I said, hey, here's my idea. I think this is a really good idea. Let's make this work. And then I kind of let them run with it, and like they had a lot of energy behind it. And then there's always when you open up ideas to gamer crowd, they always, take it a little bit too far sometimes, right? And you got to rein people in. But
mine was more thematic because that's what I was thinking about when I went into it. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and well, I mean, and there's there's logistics parts too. Like I said, I didn't go to the team and say I want to keep the entire card pool at 2 ancients, right? But we fix that later. And then there's balance issues that we find along the way. And I'm not saying that we nailed everything perfectly correct, but we can always go back and fix it. But the big thing is once we introduce a character, there's basically no way to remove the character.
Yep.
So we need to be very careful with that. That's basically it.
Are you interested at all as you're thinking about at least you're trying new stuff? You're trying a couple stormtroopers. You're thinking about some other decks. As you think about that stuff, are you at all interested in trying like a character that only has 1 die at 14 or 15, something like that?
We could do that. Maybe down the line. But right now I like middle Destiny. I think it's pure Destiny.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean I think it represents the game. Like I love Destiny as the game, and middle's not Destiny.
Right.
But Awakening's Destiny was the best fun I ever had. Awakening's and SOH Destiny was the best fun I ever had. despite all
Yep.
the problems with it. So, and it was largely because it was 2 wides, and your 3 wides were legit bad. Like they were, it was legit. It used to be legit risky to run a 3 wide, and
The health pool meant something.
right. So, well, I mean, there used to be the 4 wide Stormtrooper deck, and it took forever to kill them, but they couldn't hit you worth a damn. It was 4 wide Fost with no plot. Right?
Is there a
That was the
mall that
deck.
you can get into this format? Or
There,
no?
there is. Well, we could modify the 16-point maul.
16-point mall. Yeah.
And I mean, you guys know I like Maul. Maul will be a character at some point.
Yep. Okay, that's fun.
But
well, yeah,
that lot of stuff to do. Don't like I said,
without hearing it, but play on this format. It's good.
Yeah, I just want to caution everybody. I'm glad that there's excitement out there, but if we, again, I'll use the bad expression phrase. If we blow our wad by Christmas, we have nothing to look forward to. So.
Yep.
Enjoy what we have, and let's piece it out, right? So.
And I think that's really good advice right now in Destiny in general, right? We're no longer operating off of FFG's timeline, and ARH is going to release content as it's ready. You're going to release this kind of ideas. As long as we have a few different people in the community introducing good ideas, multiple times throughout the year, there'll be stuff there for the people that want it, and that's what's really important, right? Like I think about. One of the reasons I've liked this format so much, actually, is in my local community, we tried a format for, 2 or 3 weeks right before the end of the game. I think it was after Vegas of this year, maybe right before, where we were doing 30-point teams where you'd fuse 1 hero, 1 villain.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was like Padme Tarkin saw a lot of play, but then it was still constructed. You could get really, really strong pairings, but it was just super, super fun. To have that flexibility in the game to break the hero-villain rule, but keep it mono, right? And so, this is for me kind of that same thing. It's breaking the hero-villain or has the potential to, but there's really good guardrails in place. So, again, this has just been so fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew.
All right. Well, thanks, man. So again, just remind everybody out there, this has been Wyatt from Dice of Failure giving me the interview grill on the plan going forward for Destiny Smash. If you don't know what we're talking about at this point, hopefully you've Googled it or YouTubed it or whatever. But we do have YouTube videos up with links to everything available for free in both print and play and, of course, TTS format. And I will say this is way, way easier to do on TTS.
It is way easier. And one quick plug, obviously, yes, Dice of Failure, but for anyone that hasn't heard, I am now helping with and doing the US side of Renewed Hope organized play. So if you have organized play ideas and you like Destiny, please feel free to reach out to me, KyloSpren on the Discord. I'm Wyatt Stewart on Facebook, but I look forward to conversations with anyone and everyone that has a passion for organized play and wants to talk about it more. So.
And I know we are looking forward to what you come up with. So.
Yeah, well, there's fun stuff in the hopper, and also just a lot of months of COVID to figure out too. So.
Boy, yeah, for those of you not here in the world,
a whole other video.
Both Wyatt and I well, I assume Washington went into lockdown. We being Oregon are going into lockdown in a couple days officially, but they're putting all the restaurants out of work again. So.
Yep.
I'm sure you guys are in the same boat. And
yeah, I don't even know all the specifics, but I know that we're not ready for in-person meetups yet, but I want us to be as equipped as possible when we are.
So thank you for our patience with the TTS gameplay, but it is what it is right now. So
absolutely.
And for some time. So anyway, enough of the downers. So again, thanks everybody for your excitement joining us today. If nothing else, guys, go Commando.
Go Commando.